Islam, Moors. Let's rise. Do our prayer. Five on the left, two on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide, and my salvation. By night, and by day. Through His holy prophet. Noble Ali. Islam. Readings to be read every meeting, according to the instructions by the Prophet. A warning from the Prophet to be read every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the Prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their Prophet, and if they lose confidence in their Prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the Prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet Noble Ali. And if the Prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The Prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their Prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the Prophet through the will of Allah to redeem His people from their sinful ways. Noble Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple. Islam. These are the instructions from your Prophet Noble Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the only one that judges the world, and His judgment is now on, but the weak comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near. So says Allah to His divine Prophet, I, Noble Ali. And that is why many hearts have turned to stone, and many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your Prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your Prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine Prophet, Noble Ali. Islam. To be proclaimed every meeting, March 1929. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the last few years. Islam. Before we start up today, we need to put some things on the record. As a card carrying Universal Zulu Nation member, just want to put on the record that we don't do pedophilia and stuff like that.
What is this for?
Right? Zulu Nation.
Zulu Nation, okay.
Right? All the alleged accusations that's being thrown out there right now on Africa Bambaataa fall solely on Africa Bambaataa. We had if you check out there's some posts going around, flying around or whatever with regard to him and then KRS coming out saying, oh, he doesn't care, doesn't matter or whatever like that, which, kind of, I mean, what do you mean you don't care? You know what I mean? That's the best comment that you could make, that you don't care, that he doesn't give a F about that or whatever, So we just want to put it out there, just because, we know that he has frequented lectures, classes, conferences with Tashriq Bey. We know that he's been in Nature El Bey's temple and all that stuff, documented on the record that he was in the temple learning from Grand Sheikh Nature El Bey. So we just want to put it out there as Moors that are members of Zulu Nation, that don't try to pull because he's whatever, and then try to tie Moors to that stuff. Don't even go there, right? Don't attempt it. Don't even let the thought come in your mind. Don't even let the thought come in your mind to say, oh, well, now if he's whatever, and he's the foundation of hip hop, now hip hop is down. Don't even go there. Don't even go there. Just putting it out there, right? As far as KRS, he's his own man, speaks for himself, but we're letting you know, Moorish movement, Moorish Science Temple, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Great Seal Association of Moorish Affairs, Clock of Destiny, Moors Order of the Round Table, RV Bay Publications, etc., that we know that he's mentioned or said something about in favor of or whatever like that. Nobody that's down with any of that is in any way, shape, or form has or will ever condone, back, push, or anything to do with pedophilia, touching little boys, touching little girls if you're an adult and stuff like that. Right? So we just want to put it out there because, there's a lot of people who should be talking that aren't talking. Right? There's a lot of people who should be stepping up and saying, hold on a second, we need to deal with this thing that's going on. You know what I mean? People who are, in the hip hop community, Zulu Nation community, etc., they're keeping quiet. So we just want to put it out there for all the Moors that are, down with Zulu Nation, so that people know that Moors don't go there, and anything relative to that, we know that according to Islamic law, that's punishable by death and stuff like that. We don't even go there for not for that reason, but for that reason, right? We don't even go there. All right. We also wanted to put on the record today We mentioned in one of the earlier class, one of the interviews that we had on Amazak Bay show, somebody asked about what the job of the Grand Sheik is, and we told them to make sure that they go get the administrative functions. So what we also want to put out there is, we wanted to put out there page 74, which is dealing with the word, because many people that come into the movement always want to know what is it that they can do. Like, what could we do coming into this? You know what I mean? How can we do it? Whatever, right? So we just want to go to page 74 in the administrative functions that you can get on RV Bay Publications and put it out there so that people can have an idea of what it is that they can do. So this is the word. Setting on their points and eager to undertake their task of developing undeveloped minds, these servants of the nation are working the tools of the mind for the uplifting of fallen humanity. Called to come forth are our honorable and dedicated Moorish Society Sunday School instructors, pedologists, and teachers. Veneration and honors to our Moorish educators. So again, we want to put it out there, you know what I mean? Islam to the Moors that have been actively putting out information so that Moors that are coming in with their eyes wide open to the movement have the proper reference points in order to move forward. Entrusted to these good, moral, upstanding members and citizens of the Moorish nation and temples of science, these dedicated cultivators have taken on a vital role in society. They place their hands and time to the very wealth of our Moorish society, and with certainty they are primary trustees of our Moorish posterity as intellectual nurturers of our Moorish babies. Prophet Noble Jew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Divine and National Movement, and our redeeming Nabi and guide, instructs us to teach the children early in the way to God Allah, and this path they will not stray from. We as members of the Moorish society, must pave the way with zeal and integrity, and strive to be positive examples for the youth and for the newly conscious Moors. Right, going back to what we started with people's certain actions, right? That, you know, as if we say that we're Moorish American, you know, yes, there's some things that we might do that might seem, you know, why you do that, how come you do that, whatever like that, because, you know, everybody has their own mental slavery, whatever that they're dealing with. But when you start getting into, you know, off the cliff stuff that really shouldn't even be on the mind of a Moorish American, or more in general, or somebody that's conscious or whatever like that, as soon as they start getting there, you know that you know there's a lot of work that individual has to do, and at that point you have to disconnect the organization, movement, nation, whatever, from that individual. Right? You're not gonna say, oh, because especially when, again, we always like to use lack of a better word, East Asian cultures as an example, because they don't play around with dirty people. When dirty people come around their midst, they eliminate them immediately and continue doing whatever it is that they were doing minus those people. So, you know, we might not be set up to eliminate or whatever people, but know that from the minds of the people who don't know, those people have to be eradicated in their mind, and that comes from the individuals who know. So honors to, you know, those individuals who see wrong and step up and say something about it, even if it, you know, means that their whole family and their life is in ruin now because they're talking about something that, you know, they really shouldn't have brought up because it's detrimental to how people are going to perceive them now, right? But honors to people who step up and say something. Simply attending our Sunday school meetings and sending our children to their Sunday school classes is basic to organization supports. The greater is to be actively productive and demonstrating fruition conjoined with that attendance. Here, the Sunday school teacher has the divine duty of revealing to the child and the parent the gift that Allah has given them, teaching them to make the most of one's God-given talents and to secure adequate compensation, return for one's labor. Our Moorish Society School aims to recognize, to cultivate, and to stimulate all the potentials of a member's abilities and talents and accentuates them by teaching many important skills. Our school provides levels of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that helps make students useful and productive members of our Moorish Society of the Temples. We teach our members about their obligation as members and citizens of this free national republic and present those responsibilities with reason and functionality. We teach the reciprocal need for learning about and respecting the rights of others and about the advantages and benefits of living cooperatively with others of different faith. With proper humanitarian instruction, members should demonstrate and reflect the same in other communities. We also teach the importance of responsible health maintenance of the body. Our Moorish Society School aspires to grow and establish all grades of school, ascending from nursery to kindergarten, to elementary to junior to middle to high to college and universities. We also aspire to establish a Moorish Hall of Learning and to constructively organize school boards as needed, etc. Therefore, we recognize that education is important. It not only produces well-rounded members of society, it also promotes confidence and unity. And unity is a necessary component for a stimulating national progress. Islam. Our Moorish Society School curriculum education shall be, our Moorish Society School curriculum shall be Islamism, applied science, covering all aspects of life. Thus we will address social skills, morals, ethics and arts and sciences, race pride and principles, religious instruction, prayer, fasting, charity, faith and Hajj, political science, republic principles of the divine and national movement, economics, compensation for one's skills, law of reciprocity, culture, knowledge of your past, enabling you to know the present and to foresee a future, jurisprudence, judicial and extrajudicial instruction, etc. So let's go over that again, so we can, hear it and let it register about how much stuff there is that we could do as Moors. Now nobody can't say that, so what do I do or whatever like that. There's too much stuff to do for us to not know what to do, right? Our Moorish Society School curriculum, and keep in mind that we all know somebody who's professor or adept or whatever like that in these different disciplines, and the people who know that they're well versed in these disciplines need to be, if they're Moors and they have a nationality, they need to be seeing this as lanes that they can open up to get other people to have a smooth road to drive on, right? Our Moorish Society School curriculum shall be Islamism, applied science, covering all aspects of life. All aspects of life. Thus, we will address social skills, morals, ethics, the arts and sciences, race pride and principles, religious instruction, prayer, fasting, charity, faith and Hajj, political science, republic principles of the divine and national movement, economics, compensation for one's skills, law of reciprocity, culture, knowledge of your past, enabling you to know the present and to foresee a future, jurisprudence, judicial and extrajudicial instruction, etc. This and more shall be done with all the attachments, habits, values, etiquette, and correct attitude. This broad sense of education encompasses and accomplishes our way of life, our customs, and from the ancient customs of a people, the common law is derived. This broad sense of education encompasses and accomplishes our way of life. So, nobody can tell you that being a Moor is because you belong to some organization or some cult, right? Being a Moor is a way of life. And as soon as they speak from the perspective of being a Moor is something other than a way of life, you know that they're not versed in being a Moor, right?
Well, and I think also to add to that, one could see that, because you didn't read the whole thing, did you?
Mm.
Well, because another part to that
I'm not done yet. We're at 6, part 6.
Have you been reading straight from 1 through? Okay. Because another part to that is understanding that a lot of the education that we're learning, yes, it's connected to us, but it's really not our stuff. A lot of it is indoctrination processes. So we really haven't even, we're just touching, we're just opening the door to that realm. A lot of that stuff they burnt, they got rid of. What we're looking to do is go back into the ethers to bring that stuff back out again, because once we start vibrating on that level, that information is going to come to us. So to me, and that's where it says, and this is because I talked to Kudro about this, I brought this to his attention today, that the Prophet left us, and Taj had said it, he gave us these little handbooks because they were for simple, stupid people, so to speak. Not, you know what I mean? He was sort of making it simple. It wasn't like he gave you it's not like he gave you like the law dictionary. He gave you like a 20-page thing that once you started to break that down. But what I also realized, and this is what I said to Kudro before, was that the way that it's layered is that the information's there, but unless you're vibrating at that level, you're not going to take the information at that. So this information came to me now because I've been vibrating at that level to accept that. Otherwise, it was just gibberish to me.
Just words.
It was just words. But now I understand that really it's about our youth right here. It's about having a program that's set for him. Because it makes mention of the fact that he's looking at teaching from kindergarten to university, which means that he's taking it all in. Now, of course, we're not there to be teaching that yet. But really, what we're at adult school. You know, when you had continuing adult education, that's what we're at re-education, right? Or we're at reprogramming. But really, it should be about just the programming, not the deprogramming and reprogramming. It'll just be at the programming. But he's laid it all out. And it's under the heading of the Word, and the Word that he's giving us is the template to build because everything's built off. Because what we realize, everything's built off school. Really, but we sold out and we're going to their school, so they're creating slaves. Right, and that's for the entertainment for this wonderful brain. But once we start him at that level, he's going to be flying by the time he gets to university.
This morning, I don't want to cut you, but it's so into me to say when you touch this, maybe this is why this topic come up today.
And remember this morning, there is no coincidences. This happened because we're all connected.
This morning I said to his mother, look, alligator, if he ever grab you, you never get away. Finish. Once he hold you, you're finished. Look at him. You think a monkey could go take up an alligator bait and move him over there? No. The alligator grab his baby with the same mouth that they kill you with, grab the baby, move him for miles, not to harm. Teach him how to do things. Look at how teaching our children. Look at how teaching our children, not us. What do you expect? This morning we have that conversation, man. And I said, you gotta come to class
For
tonight.
real.
You have to come.
And honors to you for
And
that.
he's here.
Because, yeah,
I'm telling her, no holiday to let nobody teach his children.
yeah,
No. And look how dangerous that thing is.
yeah.
You grab you can't get out. You finish.
Yeah.
Remember that expert that he killed? One of them killed, what's his name?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, says Mr. Expert going
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
And what happened? He killed him. You never see him kill his
Matched
baby.
them up, man.
Yeah, just like that.
Shit. The purpose of Moorish education is to restore the ancient Moorish standard of philology, to reinstate high culture discipline.
Okay, so sorry, this is the explanation of exactly
What we're talking
what
was
it is.
Yeah, what it's supposed to be.
What it is that we're supposed to. So in case you didn't know, you see what I'm saying? That's why I realized, I was like, we don't have to do any thinking about this part of it. He made this clear that if you wanted to, if you were lost as to which you should be, because he mentions jurisprudence in there, astrology, astronomy, all of the, but go on.
The purpose of Moorish education is to restore the ancient Moorish standard of philology, to reinstate high culture discipline.
We should look at what philology is. What is?
To
Sorry, because he can be our. You know what? I think Supreme can be our what would you say? Our the set reader, eh?
yeah,
Just have all the books all.
And you got the tone of voice to put
yeah. To reinstate high culture disciplines, to reintroduce Moors to many ancient truths once removed by Roman Inquisition policies.
See, right there. That's the re-educating.
Right.
That's the erasing of all of the bull and bringing and the bringing, right? And the bringing of the new. See, he incorporated the fact that most of us. He wasn't talking about him, because if we catch him early enough, he never learns that stuff.
Right. He doesn't have the reference.
He doesn't
point
have the
of
reference points.
Roman
We have to
Inquisition.
undo that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So go on.
To acquire functional knowledge, intellectual disciplines, advocate knowledge of the rights and duties of citizenship, civics, promote the codes of etiquette, enhance individual and family development, institute activities involving vocational training and craftsmanship, and teach the spiritual principles of character building, etc. Educating and enlightening our members significantly benefits themselves and upholds the nation. It builds integrity in our Moorish society and enhances positive participation in our temples of science. Sunday is the first day of the week and is ruled by the noble sun. The holy name of Sunday is Mikael, and Sunday school is our quote-unquote seeding time. The world and the universe is Allah's schoolroom. Our being in school does not make us learn, but within our Moorish society, expansile and studious classes provide the opportunity for all learning. The 7 liberal arts are Moorish traditions, which includes grammar, logic, and rhetoric, plus the 4 subjects of quadrivium: geometry, astronomy, arithmetic, and music. The sciences and arts and the admission to their dispensations
Hold on, dude. Can
are the
want him to
birthright.
We got another word for you too.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Put philology on the board, please.
And then quadrivium, right? Because what is quadrivium? Do you know what that is? 'Cause I don't.
Oh, there it is. It's right from it.
And all this is from the administrative function, right?
Yeah.
Right, under the word, which came after all of the, and I said to him, it was very interesting because they put it at the end. The first sections to that, which go under the sections of the administrative part of the adept chamber, which is describing what the sheep did, what the treasurer did, what the duties were.
Yeah.
But then at the end of it, was the duties for the school, which is really the duties, in my mind, for the rebuilding of the nation.
Right.
Right? So, and it wasn't, it's not one specific position, it was just a heading.
Yeah, yeah.
To explain what we could see as what we are about. So you have chief, grand chief, chairman, whatever, but then you have the rest of the teachers, who are all the word.
And then it's right. It's after It's after the cherub section, which the cherub represents the sergeant at arms, or the muftis. You got philology there?
Yeah, I got philology.
And quadrum,
Yeah.
Q-U-A-D,
Yeah.
quadrum.
I'll go next. Philology, noun, from Greek, philologia, from phileo, to love, and logos, a word. So it's from phileo, which is to love, and logos, which is,
L-O-G-O-S.
yeah, logos.
Which,
A
but
word.
remember the logos in the, no, I'm saying, but remember the logos in the Red Book,
Yeah.
right? Logos is that which creates, that which saves, or that which creates, that which destroys, and that which saves, which is who Yeshua was, right? The
Right.
Logos,
The logos.
the everything,
Which,
right? So philology is again?
no, that was just
No,
that was just the beginning.
No, but read it again.
So, philology, which is a noun, from Greek, philogo, from philo, which is to love, and logos, a word. The study of language and literature.
Wait, just to interrupt you again. Remember, they put logos out there. They put philigio, which is to love.
Yeah.
Then they put logos out there, and they just put a word. Do you see what I'm saying? They don't even give a. But do you see? You would read right by that. They're just saying it's a word. But what does that word mean? How come they're not giving you what that word means? It comes from philology, to love, and from logos, a word. Well, to me, let's find out what that word means.
So the study of language. So in that context, they're saying it means to the love of words, or to love words. The study of language and literature. The study of languages in connection with the whole moral and intellectual action of people using them. The study of the classical languages, literature, and history. But the most common meaning now is the science of language, linguistics. Science, linguistics, often expressed by the qualified title of comparative philology.
Right. So this is why when we do our Moorish history research, you could never confine the Moors to one language. You're never gonna research Moorish history and find out that the Moors only spoke this language. You're gonna find that they had multiple languages that they were speaking all at the same time, in different parts, different areas, right? Because of the same thing, the language, the love of words, or the love of language. You got the quad one too?
Yeah, I'm right.
So read that section with the quadrivim again, in terms of what, because it was the quadrivim and then it was
Yeah, so the seven liberal arts
7 of
are
them again.
Moorish traditions, which includes grammar, logic, and rhetoric,
So those are the basic ones: grammar, logic, rhetoric,
Rhetoric.
which is right.
plus the four subjects of quadrivium,
Which seems like a science term to me, or whatever, or something.
science, math,
Right.
and quadrivium includes geometry, astronomy, arithmetic, and music.
Funny how they put music in there, the one thing out of there, but us realizing that, and this is what I realized when I read that harmony, tone and harmonic tones,
Yeah.
which they talk about in terms of the science of
Tones is all math.
It's
yeah.
all math.
Yeah.
Right? And that when you reach yourself to certain, and it makes reference in those other books about being out of harmony,
Right.
which are tones and vibrations, and then when you're in harmony, when he's talking about being at the higher tones,
Right.
When-
Or
right.
vibrating on the right frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's all there, right?
You got it?
Yep. Quadrivium. It's a noun a collective term in the Middle Ages for the four lesser arts: arithmetic, music, geometry, and astrology.
Arithmetic?
Arithmetic, music, geometry, and astrology.
Right.
It's the same
Astronomy.
thing. So what he was doing was he was explaining what the quadrivium was.
Right. Right. And see if Rivium's in there too.
Review.
The sciences and arts and the admission to their dispensations are the birthright of every member, etc. And the graduates of higher learning are prepared as future leaders. From our Sunday schools comes the guiders of the nation. For this reason, the Sunday school teacher allows all members to exercise their five senses. Right. So when we were talking about black scholars or black leaders selling out the people. Anytime you go to anything having to deal with black scholar, African leader, conscious, whatever like that, they have the guy at the front that's going to talk for 5 hours, and then at the end they give these people chance to ask questions, which is going to get him talking for another 25 hours. Opposed to doing like what we do. Breaking it down, let some people read, let some people give their experiences, let some people express their five senses.
During the 5 hours.
During the 5 hours, right? Members are also allowed time during Sunday school classes to demonstrate any special projects or lessons they have learned or have been working on. An instructor or teacher will meet with the member who prepared a display prior to class time to demonstrate and clear up any potential faults, misgivings, or errors in the demonstration. This should promote good order, confidence, and correctness. Right? The Moorish Sunday school instructors, pedagogues, or teachers will encourage and allow members to bring out history books and lessons that we may go into the deeper meanings and relationships about people, nations, and events in history. However, the deeper aspects and meanings of the law are reserved for respective chambers. Our Moorish Sunday school classes are to lay the foundations for members and visitors, etc. Here, the basics are taught, and care is taken not to confuse any group or anyone or group, answering all questions that may be asked, answering in the first degree, while enlightening the class on the discipline, subject matter, or issue at hand. We are demonstrating a board-based education with the refined consciousness of dissolving that destructive, vague, or misguided state of mind that deludes to slavery. And so we are encouraging and promoting those positive acts and teachings that relate to the positive, constructive, beneficial, uplifting, socially upstanding, and progressive significance of Moorish life. Adherence to these precepts will manifest as honorable to the Moorish nation. The children's Sunday school teacher has, among other duties and responsibilities, the option of implementing, and now this is with regard to what can we do, right? The children's Sunday school teacher has, among other duties and responsibilities, the option of implementing youth cadet instructions, youth sergeant at arms training, or other youth programs. They shall be prepared in a realistic manner, for they are the future guiders of the nations. Teachers may also establish reserve officers training corps, choirs, drill teams, business clubs, or marine training, etc. Right? So that's administrative functions. You can get it at rvbaypublications.com. And you won't only be learning, but you'll also be showing support to one of, if not the first, online Moorish institution.
Can I just add something
Yeah.
as far as pertaining to youth. It also applies to the what we would be classify as adults, young in mind,
Right.
as opposed to just looking at young children. It applies to new people coming in as far as, you know what, this is new to you. You're a baby to this information, as opposed to looking at, you know, a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old, because as we as adults come into this with our young minds and we grow, we have a chance to pass it on at the same time to our children and our relatives and so on and so forth who are younger in age than we are as elders. So I just wanted to add that on.
Peace. So questions that we had, and if anybody else has stuff to add on, feel free. From Brother Gary, I'm in the process of sending off my writs, name correction, and judicial proclamation. I have been studying a great deal of Moorish science, history, jurisprudence, etc. However, I'm still learning proper ways to do certain things while transitioning from a state of ignorance, slavery, etc. I would like to know from you, as a long-term student and teacher, what would you advise to those who are about to be publicly known as a conscious Moor by name and status, yet have certain obstacles he or she is dealing with or must remove while the proclaiming process is occurring? Examples are IRS, contracting through the straw man, although using all rights reserved. So things like that, and and trust me when I say I'm aware proclaiming has nothing to do with a get out of jail type thing, and I have purchased books from RV Bay. I would just like to hear and know more from my brother that has been through the experiences and more, if you could further add on to your answer. So that's also, we'll put that out there for anybody else, since it includes everybody. What would be your advice for a parent who is proclaiming and would like to do the same for his or her child? So with regard to one thing that must be cleared up, whenever we're talking about these instruments, the slave instruments, it's a habit that we see with a lot of newly proclaimed Moors, is that they classify those instruments as theirs or yours or mine, the instruments, right? Do not ever call the instruments yours. So when we say the instruments, social security cards, credit cards, licenses, health cards, anything that you didn't create, can't classify it as yours, right? Because those instruments have other stuff attached to them. So if you're claiming the instrument, then you're claiming whatever else comes along with it that you don't even know what's coming along with it. Half the time, 3/4 of the time, we have to recognize that the instruments are not only being used as ways of denationalizing the people, but if there is such a term, it's also a spiritual denationalization, right? So if you reserve your rights on a license, but then you call it yours, you just canceled the all rights reserved on it. Like you just made the all rights reserved void, even though it says it on there. So now you using the instrument, you're gonna have issues which majority of people, if we check them on it, they can recognize that they've had issues using these instruments as a Moor, when you're not supposed to have issues using them, because it's just supposed to be instrument. It's not yours. It's not tied to you in any way. All it is due to the occupation that we're under, we have to use these things. No different than some people have their children in the schools out there that we know they're brainwash camps. Don't let the children say my school. That's not their school that they're going to. Right? That's a colonial institution that is set up in order to keep them in Negro, black colored states of mind, have them eating Negro, black colored foods, hot dog, pizza, or whatever else like that, to keep them, and once it's like Amari's children's a good example of when they go to school, from the faculty to the students know that those children aren't like how you're going to deal with everybody else. Right? How do they know that? Because when there's teachers meeting, they're not even going to teachers meeting. Because the real teachers meeting is not even when they say teachers meeting. The real, we're going to go meet the teachers is whenever something goes down, or they hear about something, or, child brings home something that's contrary to what they learn at home, which is the real learning institution. And then they go to the school and go have closed door meeting with principal, vice principal, whoever, right? That's the real meeting. Because remember that when they say, parent teachers meeting, we want all the parents come down or whatever like that. That's like an auction call, right? Where they have all the students there, you know what I mean? And then it might be closed door, but I mean at least when we went to school, everybody knows that the students who got problems at home and stuff like that, their parents weren't there, so that classifies them when school starts tomorrow. Everybody knows, this guy's parents weren't there because, he got problems at home. Or he only has a mom and no dad, and all the, societal issues that children have to deal with is now put in the open amongst everybody in the school. Now everybody knows knows your business. Right? Which makes it even harder now for them to learn, because now they have to deal with the fact that everybody knows, or it's not when that because even when we were in school, we would have to go. Not no parents going and then we stay home play video games. We're sitting there, you know what I mean, getting the stare at because you missed 50 classes that year. You know what I mean? And nobody knew because you get home before everybody else. You get the letter. You get the letter.
Kudo hasn't been in school for the whole semester. What the hell?
Where you been?
You leave
at 8 o'clock every morning or whatever.
And coming back with book and telling me you're going over to Frank's house to study. That was all.
That was all just playing.
You made it home before the phone call came.
Before the phone call,
and you answered the phone or deleted the message.
Answer the phone, delete the message.
Yes, this is cool. That's okay. I'll deal with him. Thank you very much.
And those ones worked sometimes. Yeah. Those ones
Or the
worked.
letter that you wrote yourself. The excuse.
Yeah.
I had guys in school. I was afraid because my mom's signature was very hard to copy. But I knew dudes there at school. You saw them in the morning. They had their dad's old note and they were tracing out his
the signature.
Signature and shit.
Crazy one.
You guys are tight.
Right, tight.
But one of the things, just to talk about this, it had come to me a few days before how what's very interesting is, well, once your eyes open up to it, you realize how often there is this jurisdictional sort of interplay that goes through the natural, du jour jurisdiction of you and your family, and the artificial one, which you have signed into, which then really comes into play with everything, because everything sort of is this contract stuff. So, and I mean that in conjunction with, I was watching or listening to some news blurb where they were talking about some lady who I can't remember, she had been accused of doing something, and I can't remember, I think, it could have been some physical stuff, which I grant that can be grounds for certain stuff, but I think it had more to do with not letting her child go to school. And what happened was, after a certain period of time, what happened was they took the child out of her home and then took over under wardship status. The child became a ward of the city. But that was done through what I would call the sort of jurisdictional nonsense we're in, where you don't really own the child. You're really just caregiving for the child. You're the caregiver. The instant that they decide that what you're doing isn't in their best interests, all of a sudden you become this, they weren't there for the other 5,000, 10,000 meals and days that you spent with them.
Right.
But the instant that they decide that this 3-month period of time you didn't want your child in school, that makes you what you would call an unfit parent,
Right.
which then gives them the ability, the status, to come in and take their property back.
Right.
But if it was their property all the time, why weren't they looking after their property? Right? But they never make mention of that, and so what you realize is all the time this stuff is going on, and that you're basically just some hired babysitters, and you're being taxed to hell for it too.
Right.
And then when we're not happy that you ain't producing another slave, then we're coming in and taking our property back, because it really is their property. But you were saying,
It's funny you say that, because something hit me last night regarding wardship. As far as, if you look back in the days, like in the medieval movies, even in Game of Thrones, you have the defeated warlord, his children being held as hostage, and they're the wards of the person who defeated them, and they're being held for ransom. So to keep the defeated lord in check, anything that you do, I have your child, even though I'll teach him accordingly, because he's still of high blood, high born, right? So I'll teach him according to our ways, but his primary role here in my court is to keep you in check, because I'm the one who defeated you.
Right.
So just the fact that you were saying that, when we have our children in wardship in this modern time, it's really, they're being held hostage.
Right.
Because if we don't fall in line, you know what, the threat of we're going to come in and take away your children and so on and so
services
forth.
and whatever else.
And then we have now the human rights stuff that works in favor of us, that that says you can't come in my house as a national and take my children. So it's just interesting how, when you really look at it and just see how the whole story is being played out when you're in the story, it's just like it's the same thing going on. Like, our children are being held as wards of states.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, man. Just wanted to add that on.
I thought you had something to say when I was talking there.
Oh no, just relative to Kenta touched on it, just that the only way that they can do the wardship is if the parents don't acknowledge that the children are national.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that was what my next statement was. I was working on a film set this week, and it's an older film set. I don't want to mention it. I'll mention it offline just in case of bullshit.
Yeah.
But it dealt with sort of things back in the 1900s, early whatever. And I saw a map, and on the map, the city was broken down. The edge of the city was DuPont before. It wasn't like Steels. This is going back like 100 years.
Yeah.
And it was broken down into wards.
Right.
So, and what you realize now, when we've seen, elections, they're wards.
Yeah, it's wards, yeah.
So those, and so then, now you piece that together with exactly what we're talking about when you break down what ward is, but I realize that they've got you on what I would call almost like a, you think about if you ever see knot tying, they've got you in this slippery knot, that if you agree that you're in a ward, then you've agreed to being a minor.
Right.
Because you obviously can't govern yourself.
Yeah.
There is none of what Kent is talking about, there is our nation, but if we keep claiming not to be part of our nation, then you're really trying to say that you need some help,
Yeah.
right? And then if your children, you sign off on that,
Yeah.
then really it's even a double, and that's where I noticed the actual really sort of the nuance behind it is that if you sign off on the fact that you're agreeing that your child is a ward,
Right.
then they really have the end arounder to it, because the very nature that you haven't taken your child out of wardship status
Is
means
what?
that
Yeah.
means, you see what I'm saying? Means that you are signing off on that.
Right. Right.
On your children.
You're agreeing to the wardship
Mhm.
position. Yeah.
Not,
You got
sorry.
it. I got ward.
Ward.
Check wardship. I think wardship too.
Ward, Black's Law Sport Dictionary. Guarding, care, charge as the ward of a castle. So in the phrase, watch a ward, a division in the city of London committed to a special ward, guardianship of an alderman. The territorial division is adopted in most American cities, by which the municipality is separated into a number of precincts or districts called wards. For purposes of police, sanitary regulations, prevention of fires, elections, etc. See State ex rel. Wickerson versus Goria. A corridor, room, or a division of a prison, hospital, or asylum. That's interesting.
Right. So that goes on the other level of it. That we have these individuals that say, they live in whatever ward, right? You're basically saying that you're a prisoner, but not only you're a prisoner, you're also mentally insane. Just the fact that you're in that ward, right? And then always keep in mind that once they say ward, and you thought ward of the state, ward of the crown, etc. The concept is that you're in prison, so the mayor, whoever like that, now becomes the warden, not just the guy in the prison institution, but outside the prison, the head of the ward is a warden as well.
The police become the COs.
Right, right. Police are the correction officers.
Just to add on to what while Omar was talking, something that hit me, because when I first heard it, one of the things that the Prophet said when I first came into this movement about, and I saw the image in my head when he did it. It was weird, like you just saw him doing it. With the flag, wrapping the flag around the children, and saying, "I give you everything to save the nation. Now take it and save yourself." So, when I saw it in my head, it was just like he came and he wrapped the children in the flag, and pretty much just protected them from all the corporate mishappenings and stuff like that. So when Omar was talking about it, just hit me again. That's what he meant by as when you come into this movement, you take that information, you save yourself, and by you saving yourself, the nation wraps itself around you,
Right.
and you wrap yourself around your children, and so on and so forth, and therefore you're no longer a ward of the state. You're not held as hostage because now you represent yourself.
Right, and even like what we were talking about earlier with regard to him incorporating the temple, that was the same concept, right? The same idea was that, by us having this institution, right? Once we have this institution, now we're protected, or we're covered within the confines of the occupation, right? Because as the constitutional right we have to religion, we should have a religious corporation that we can use to maneuver around the place, right? We should have a safe haven. And then when you look at everybody else, the Sikhs got it, the Buddhists got it, the Mormons, the Amish, the Christians, the whoever else, everybody else has it, right? But then the so-called Negro black colored people, they're going to everybody else's stuff to seek refuge or asylum, when they should have their own stuff that they can go to, right? Any comment on that? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Kenton.
Because it's funny when you say that, because one of the things I remember growing up was, remember when Noriega, when they were looking for him and he went to Sixth Sanctuary in the church, and they were blasting music all day, all night, and again, I didn't understand why they couldn't go in there, but then when you start understanding that whole jurisdiction, that ecclesiastical of the Vatican, it's like, you know, and you see it in the old medieval movies and stuff, like, you go into that religious sanctum, or that sanctuary, protected, like, you know, it's that protection of, away from anything that can harm you, and it's funny when you say that, it's just like, there it is again, all the signs are always there, it's
Always
just,
there.
as long as, you know, people remain in that Negro black colored mentality and want to hold on to it and not let it go, they'll never see what the prophet
Right.
never
And it's there for them to see. But you know, if there's a veil there, or if they're looking at the curtain, not the feet sticking out, then they're not gonna see anything.
Because again, you know, you watch the movies, you know, the vampire, the devil can't walk on holy ground.
Right.
So as an infidel or as an outsider, to walk into a nation that, you know, doesn't belong to you or you can't hold, then it'll destroy you, it'll consume you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Most definitely. Wardship.
I got wardship, but right before I read wardship,
Yeah.
You also want to make a point that we're always saying that they're not hiding it anymore. In the sense that they know our people don't read. So if you look at the definition of ward, and I always like certain words when people say, you know, oh, it can mean this or it can mean that. Well, there's an actual meaning, and then there's other things that they throw around it. So, like, for instance, if I say blue, everybody knows what blue is. I don't care how many different variations I want to say blue. Blue always means blue. So I say that to say this, that they're blatantly telling you, when it comes down to municipalities and cities, that you're in a ward. Like, they're telling you, if you read the definition, that you're a prisoner. It's clear as day, especially out in Hamilton. Like, we have there's 11 wards. And it's like, oh, this counselor is running for this ward, which lets you know that that counselor is in direct responsible for those people who reside in that ward. And then when you start thinking about it, you're just like, yo, it's crazy. Like, they're telling you that you're a prisoner. We're treating you like a prisoner, and it's out there. You know what I mean? Though, if there's a disconnect, people can't connect them living there and being a prisoner. And then you realize that, all of a sudden you have property tax. You see, they're charging you to live there.
To live in the ward, yeah.
To live in the ward. So you're a prisoner, and you're paying for your own imprisonment.
Let me, because you, okay, keep talking, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's basically the point, that it's so crazy that they put it out there, they let you know, and then they have you paying to be a prisoner.
Okay, I got it back. So what I'm realizing though is, and what you're realizing is that, in my mind, and this came to me, this is what connected to me. I had this thought, I think it was yesterday. I came out of my house and I got on the bike, and there's something that came across me, and I started to realize, wow, we really are prisoners of war. Like, it really hit me at that point, that I'm really just this guy who, you know, my forefathers got defeated, and between that period of time when there was some defeat and now, I'm still a part of that defeated nation. Yet I have lost all connection with that. And I don't see that. And the wars, exactly like you're talking about, are all the distribution of the military manifestations of that. The wards, the municipalities, the precincts, all of those things, the attorney general. It's all predicated on a war, paradigm, but then hidden underneath a corporate, melded together with a corporate form of that, so that if you're not careful, you're going to keep running into their circle, when it's really about separating yourself right out of that circle and taking, because if you start to argue, okay, well, you know, I'm this person and I have these rights, once, you know what I mean, they've got it layered so that if you're going to the municipal courts, you're done again. You see what I'm saying? Like, everything has been layered, that you are this prisoner, and there's no acknowledgement of who you actually are. Even to that extent, you've been so many times, and then to move on, because you made another point with the wardship part of it. then because we know that a trapped mind can never survive, they give you the illusion that you've got choice. So they got their boy, John, he's one of the boys in the lodge. They got Frank, and John is blue. You got Frank, who's red, those are the conservative, and then you've got the green and the blues, but all of them are at the same lodge.
And you're voting for your warden.
And you're voted, but the wardens are all, but the warden, but that's what's the beauty part of it. Because we've been so disconnected, we actually think we're voting for a concept or a principle that speaks to us about the freedom that we need. When it's all still
When
part.
it's still part of the.
They all belong to the Warden's League.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So it doesn't matter. The principles at the end of the core values are never going to be. It's never about that warden going, okay, you know what? I'm giving you the key to get out. It's really about, okay, we're giving you these privileges this time because you were kind of annoyed that you wanted more carrots. Oh, now you're wanting more beef, so then you vote for Frank, who's about the beef. You know what I mean? But he's never talking to you about the fact that you're still in jail. Right? And that's what I started to realize. It was the concept of thinking that you're free, which you are, but thinking that you're free within this dynamic, because until they acknowledge you as being free, and until you acknowledge yourself as being free, and the acknowledgement of them saying that you're free comes in the activity that you're allowed to do.
Right.
Because like you're saying, and this is why it ties into everything you're saying, they're then, and that's what Tosh said, you are actually continuing to pay for the process to keep you enslaved by the taxation and all the.
And
So that's
whatever
what I was like, holy, you know what I mean? You're actually here. Let me pay you to keep me in jail. Like, you know what I mean? On a normal day, that would never happen. Yet they've hidden all of these different layers to it, right? And then everyone's arguing about the little piece of nothing that they don't have because there's no money, right? Now the doctors are being angry. I don't know if you heard of this one. One doctor was charging $6 million for the year. They're mad. The OMA, the government, they're all chasing it, but it's not. There's no money. You know what I mean? So, and that was what someone else was saying. As long as you keep getting distracted by the distractions, they've got you.
And that point that you made about the military ties right into wardship, the definition of wardship, which is also crazy because then you realize that it's all a military agenda, hidden under that corporate thing that you were saying, which makes sense because it says wardship. In military tenatures, the right of the Lord to have custody as guardian of the body and the lands of the infant heir, without any account of profits, until he was 21 or she was 16. In Socage, the guardian was accountable for profits, and he was not the Lord.
Sorry, because I was just speaking with Amara. Can you go back? Because I just wanted to, when he started off with wardship, and he said in military tenure, which meant he was giving the explanation as to where wardship was being defined. Under what heading wardship
jurisdiction?
What jurisdiction?
It's really
well, in this, but it could mean other things in different jurisdictions, right? Wardship could be looking after a child, which would be something benevolent. But what they're saying in military tenure, the same thing that it's like person and persons. You're thinking wardship means we're looking after you. When wardship actually
really,
all right?
Because the definition is coming out of the law dictionary. So when wardship is used in a law's perspective, they're talking military.
Well, no, they make sure to make that distinction there. But what we also realize, and this is the thing that just came to me now, and this is where I think it's very important for us jurisprudence guys to look at. We're looking at, I think, a lot of this being the law of the sea.
Well, that's why.
Yes, of course. No, of course. Rather than ward. But what I'm saying is, even these books that we started to see, because there should be a common law dictionary, let's say, versus the Black's Law, which I think we were understood was as pure as it could be, but is still continually being infiltrated, and those same meanings that we thought were real they're continuing to still try to erode the stuff. That's why they keep telling you to get the most original meanings, because that's when they were most not
most potent,
most untainted. So go on though.
I'll start from the beginning.
Wardship in
military tenures, the right of the Lord to have custody as guardian of the body and lands of the infant heir, without any account of the profits until he was 21 or she 16. In Socage, the guardian was accountable for profits, and he was not the Lord, but the nearest relative to whom the inheritance could not descend. And the wardship ceased at 14. In copyholds, the Lord was the guardian, but was perhaps accountable for the profits.
In copy what?
In copyholds,
In copyholds.
So copy dash holds. The Lord was the guardian, but was perhaps accountable for profits. So it seems to be military and business.
But then there's something there, that copy gold, I wonder what copy gold is.
So the ward is also the trustee in modern, nice language.
To a certain extent, but I almost think that it's different because doesn't the trustee have to be accountable?
Well,
Yeah.
well,
It's
the other part of it
Yeah,
too is
the
that,
trustees told what to do.
yeah,
But as far as spending and dealing with, the actual accounts of what's going on within the trust, they're not really, are they held accountable as far
Yes,
as? Yeah,
but
okay.
that's the whole purpose of the trustee.
Right.
Wherever there's a trust, the trustee has to do what the administrator asks them to do,
Which is the trustor?
which is the trustor, to administer the trust.
So part of that would be an accounting for for all activity going
Yes,
on in it.
yes.
But what we're saying is that in this definition, it said that you didn't have to be, that there was no accounting.
Right.
Isn't that what it said?
Yeah.
So it sort of took that out of that, right?
Yeah.
and then also too, remember that when you look at the perspective of wardship, that the right is of the Lord, which the Lords were really us. So when we say wardship, it's really
You should get it. It's good, I like it.
it's really slavery when they say wardship.
yeah, 100%.
And then they transferred the powers. So they now take the position of ward, which is us, they're all masons and all that stuff, and they do whatever they do. And then the property is now
Oh, sorry, can I
our
just
people
interject
that are
there?
not classified.
I want to interject.
There are people that are
You're saying
classified.
that they take masonry on as if it's some choice. I believe that masonry has to be the level of.
Yeah, that's where they gotta be.
They
Yeah,
have to be there.
They
So
have to be
when you're
that.
saying
Yeah.
that that's something, they're
Yeah.
really reaching the level that we all, as Moors,
They're
are at.
supposed to be at. Yeah.
We're supposed to be at.
Yeah. Right. And also too with as far as the question, Brother Amar, you could touch on this one. What would be your advice for a parent who is proclaiming and would like to do the same for his or her child?
First things first, proclaim in terms of your nationality, but you could do it on two levels. You could do it in the straw in a sense. Make sure you address it to the trustee of the board. Make sure you address it to the principal of your birthrights, and in regards to your status. So as I said, when you do it on two levels, the first level in your straw, you don't have to say all rights reserved or in propria persona. What you do is just write to a trustee, put X relation your name. Put X relation your straw name.
And then we were talking about earlier about not saying your and my straw,
Yes.
saying
The
straw.
straw name, sorry. So when you just put X relation the straw name, it still puts you in a jurisdiction where they understand, especially the trustees, they understand where you're coming from. On that level. If also you want to put in your proclamation with your I'll wait till you write it out first before I go forward. Yeah. So now the next level is you do your national name with your straw name as the parent, and then you put a description of the natural born children on the paperwork. So from two levels, as I said. First level you could use ex relation, the straw name, and reference the children, or you could do it the same way with the national name, and then you put the children's national name as well. Either way they're gonna call you. Alright? Either way they're gonna ask you what's going on.
And just to go a little further, what was their response when you contacted?
Okay, the response that they when they contacted me was, what do you suggest that we do with your children? Not this is the procedures that we have, this is what we do every year. They were asking, what do we do with your children? Do we keep them out of class? Do we put them aside?
Because that was relative to a holiday or something, or teaching
It was
some,
mostly
or Black History
relative to
Month.
Black History
Yeah,
Month.
that's right.
It was mostly related to the Black
Yeah.
History Month, but they were still asking, what do we do with your children
Right.
as a trustee? Because as I said, you have to address the trustee because they're the ones in control of the trust, in other words, the children. So you have to address the trustee. So for me, they just ask questions. What do we do with your children? If you don't want them to learn the quote-unquote Black History Month, what do we do? And this is where you are able to tell them, okay, well, I would like for my child to come home, or I would like for my child to stay, but make sure that they don't get tested on it or whatever. But they start asking you questions. They don't tell you, well, this is the procedure, blah, blah, blah. No, they ask you questions.
Right.
So you can supplement your own material if you'd like.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I think what we have to look out for and understand that, and this is one of the things that I've been looking at trying to do within our temple here, is realizing that. So I was filming another movie and I was at the Ministry of Education, and on one of the doors, as I'm going to the washroom, they have the office of the. I wish I was going to take a picture, but there happened to be an officer there, not an officer, one of their little henchmen, but one of their goons. But it was like the Office of Analytical Studies for schooling up to 18. Like the heading was such that what it was basically saying was, this is the office where we determine. This is the office where we determine what you people are going to learn up until 18.
Yeah.
That is reflected in a curriculum. Right? The curriculum says, right, that, because your child could be a genius, but he may just have a problem, let's say, relating to the way that you teach math, or what you teach in math, right? So if you fail at that particular conceptual thing that they're trying to teach you as part of the curriculum, you fail.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you don't have smarts or brains, but and then that's where I started looking at the curriculum really being based on conditioning you to be one of them,
Right.
not to free you, right? And just a side part to what Amari was talking about with the trusteeship, what you realize is you have trustees at this level, and they're supposed to be looking after you, right? They're the trustees, but really they're below the counselors and the wards.
Mm-hmm.
So you've really got a trust that's still being held by a wardship status.
Right.
In a sense, right? In my mind, when you look at that, right, which sort of in my mind is a conflict of interest.
But then it kind of goes also into when they talk about unity, and they talk about estates held in joint tenure.
Mm-hmm.
Unity.
So
Okay.
so that's the joint tenure.
Mm-hmm.
That they have all these levels or whatever that are all supposed to be taking that responsibility position, but they're really taking ownership. They're taking possession
Right.
of the quote-unquote estate, which is the individual under the guise of this all capital letters name.
Right. Under the wardship status.
Under the ward, because they're under
wardship
worship status
But because they're claiming to be these things that they're not.
that don't exist.
So they're feeding off of you on all levels.
All levels.
Interesting.
And they feed.
Isn't that what we do every day to each other?
They
Like
feed.
if if I get a chance to film you, it's
Yeah.
like magic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I wouldn't blame anyone to, if you can get him, if somebody's
Yep.
slipping. That's what we do every day.
Everybody's practicing the
magic
vampirism. Yeah. Brother Yusuf Matadi L sent a little testimonial. Testimony about tax experience. I was buying a bed frame while getting help from a quote-unquote Puerto Rican, Moorish, Latin-speaking brother was helping with my purchase. I told him I didn't pay taxes. He looked at me and said, "Hold on, let me ask the boss." He comes over, looks at me with my fez and says, "You don't pay taxes?" I replied, "No." He looked at the employer and said, "Take it off," or the employee and said, "Take it off," as if it was just regular. Then he asked me for my ID. I gave him my nationality card and he didn't even look at it. He immediately gave it to the sleepy Moor, grabs him by the shoulders and tells him, "You see this man? His grandparents, parents, etc. were here first. He is the indigenous." Laugh out loud. He said, "In my country, we learned that in the 2nd grade." This brother was from Lebanon. He continued by telling the sleepy Moor, "I can't believe you have to get citizenship."
Man. Where's that? Which jurisdiction is that?
I think Carolina or somewhere around there. You are indigenous. I was so amazed. Also, it was the first time that my mistress had seen me in action and she was overwhelmed. I can honestly say out of all the times I have done this, this is the best experience I've ever had. Islam.
Right. They learned that in Lebanon in 2nd grade.
Lebanon, 2nd grade they learned
teaching
that.
that. Us over here.
We don't have a clue.
That's crazy.
It's not we, they. That's way here.
Right? Yeah.
But it's crazy to hear that they're teaching that on the other side, letting like their own people know.
Yep.
Listen, those people over there, those are indigenous people. That's crazy.
Right. Islam. This is from Sister to Phoebe Bay. Islam. I was listening to a class that Abdullah did, and he was saying instead of talking that the nationality card isn't being accepted, talk about the violation. Could you talk about the actual violation that occurs if a business says they won't honor the tax obligatory status? Also go into detail as to what it means to say that we are of a general and permanent character. See if permanent character or general and permanent character is in there?
Law.
Yeah, lay out law. So when they remember that as far as our just like the brother from Lebanon said, right? Those people over there are indigenous. So this is something that is known around the world. If somebody from Lebanon learned this in the 2nd grade, then we can come to the conclusion that all the other people in the 2nd grade learned about the people over here and who are the actual natives on this side. So you have situations where when we have companies that don't want to respect the fact that we are those people, and they're going to cause everything that they can. Remember that majority of these people that have these corporations are registered. Who are they registered with? More than likely, U.S. or Canada Corps. Now we know that in 2007, 2010, or 2007 to 2010, the corporations started acknowledging
U.S. in Canada. In the U.S., they have at least seem to adhere to more of the purity behind what the Constitution represented, which was this contract, which allowed, because remember there are 5 components that make up a national, right? You have to have a creed, a nationality, what else were there? A religion, a seal, something else, right? There's 5 components, right? Because remember, the 3/5 person was the Negro, who didn't have the nationality or the creed, I think.
Or nationality and the creed. Yeah.
And the creed, right?
Yeah.
And then there was a flag, I think, and a seal and something and a nation and a name.
Yeah.
Right. So here in Canada, and this is one of the things I think we as Moors, I just want to bring this into our consciousness. Remember here, the one aspect, or one of the most powerful aspects behind the nationality is the religion, is the religion, the connection.
Yeah.
Right? And what they've done here in Canada, they don't allow you to register your religion as part of that, as part of the corpse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that would then make the religious ecclesiastical document that the same thing that the church, the same thing that the Vatican created to give it its power, which was this is part of who we are.
Yeah.
They've taken that away from us, and I realize that I think has been one of the most insidious little things that the so-called Canada Corp has done to try and hold us back.
Right.
That is what has stopped us from really going the next steps with all of this, right? Because they've made us a so-called charity, right? That is the payoff that they give to us, right? That you can get money back, you can get tax receipts, which was just making it a 501c without saying that it's a 501c, by basically taking out the nation behind it.
Right.
Right? So that was one of the things that I started to realize, right? Because remember, we talked about that. We can't be religious corps here. That's what we were talking about with all that stuff when we were looking.
Stuff, but for our stuff, it's religious corporation / charity.
Right.
Right. That you know we took the position of dissolving the charity part, even though it's there on the registration paper. The concept of making it a right, they're gonna have a certain way that they want things to be done. So they're gonna say, you know, U.S. Canada Corps signed on to the real violation is, you know, that they're continuing denationalization. They're denying you a right to a nationality. If you put down a nationality card and they say, well, we don't want to accept it because that wasn't issued by Canada Corps, then they're saying that we're denationalizing you.
But in essence, I think, and this is where you spoke about and nature spoke about, the issue is that really when that happens, in a sense, they're entitled to do whatever the hell they want, right? Because they're registered in this de facto position.
Right.
Looking for a de jure
And
result to that.
Result from their de facto position,
Right,
which is never going to happen
More
because
than
they're
likely
de
it's not
facto.
going to happen, right? So ultimately, that's where they say you then don't give them your finance,
Right.
But that in certain cases becomes.
And then also too with Brother Matadi's example, that's why when you go to these places, you usually ask for whoever the supervisor is, because more than likely the supervisor it has the concept that there's these things. Forget what the company says their rules are or whatever like that. Once you deal with the individual that has a nationality and knows about nationality since second grade or whatever like that, if they get approached on that level, they'll more than likely go with that level. Opposed to say, well, no, the company doesn't want to do this, or the company's not going to accept this, or whatever like that. Because a lot of times, that's really how you get the pass with who you're dealing with.
But by them doing that, by the company saying, or the person saying they don't want to do it, they're actually violating it's a human rights violation.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And I guess if it's worth your time, you can challenge that as far as take it all the way up.
Right, but see, like, so the issue that comes in, this is why it's about Moors being of a general and permanent character.
Be what you
So
do.
that anything that happens to you happens to me. It's not an individual, oh, you got violated and then the violation has nothing to do with me. The violation happens to everybody if it happens to one. Right? So if the individual that gets violated looks at it as, oh, they're attacking me, and they're saying that, oh, well, because they attacked me, I'm going to whatever, more than likely you're going to lose. You'll lose alone, but just based on fiat. Because in order to file whatever violation, that's going to cost you some hundreds or whatever, right?
We want to put some razor blades in.
If you go to these people who are responsible for hearing the violations, more than likely they're not going to hear you because they're down with these guys to keep people in denationalized status. Especially if you're coming up saying that you're more or whatever like that, when they know that that's the trump card. Opposed to somebody who says that they're, somebody says that they're Sri Lankan or whatever like that, they got violated, and then they hit those people off like, oh, sorry for violating you. That's because they're allies with the corps. So they're going to give them certain passes, which and again, we use Grand Chief Nature's example of when he sued, and then they said, look, diversity of citizenship, you guys can't sue. And then it went through, because technically, they're kind of right. Like, you can't sue them because it's diversity of citizenship. You know what I mean? But what it really supposed to do is, at that point, those people now are supposed to recognize that they don't have any jurisdiction over you. If they're going to say diversity of citizenship, then you're admitting that you don't have any jurisdiction over me.
So it doesn't apply for the situation right now, but it extends to everything.
It extends to everything,
right,
going forward. Right? But the issue that we have with our people, even more so with Moors, is that they want stuff now. They don't want stuff so that he doesn't have to suffer later. They want stuff so they don't have to suffer now. Right? Which, I mean, you not suffering now. I mean, we've been suffering. What are you complaining about? You know what I mean? By now we should have thick skin to be able to deal with whatever violation that they sent at us. From all the stuff that we dealt with when we were classified as Negro, black, colored, to where we are now, shouldn't be no complaint. Everybody should be like Landry. Just, yeah, don't worry, send me to jail. I don't care. I'm going there, I'm going to teach everybody in there. Right? Like, let's go. You know what I mean? Put on the stuff, let's go. So I can go teach those people in there about their birthrights. Then you guys really going to have problems. You know what I mean? Right? So, and that's just one of the violations, the UN declarations. There's other stuff that they're violating. But, you know, how, especially if you look at it from the spiritual perspective, the things that they're violating spiritually. You know what I mean? The esoteric contracts that they know that they have to respect humans and respect people's rights and whatever, like stuff like that they violate every day. It doesn't even matter. How are you gonna get remedy from somebody that's soulless? Is it really remedy? If they say, okay, fine, we violated. What do you want? What are Moors gonna say that they want? That can't, because remember, whatever you get, don't let it compromise your nationality, because then you just lost again. You know what I mean?
You know, it's funny you say that, because it just seems like the whole story of, you know, when people are in unions and they bring up a grievance and they want something, and then the company comes back and says, you know what, we'll give you a cafeteria, we'll put in juice and you can get it for free, and everyone's like, yeah, that's good.
That's a good idea.
But they forget
About the original thing that they were trying to get. Yeah.
So it's those type of tactics that we're so used to. Okay, you know what? We got this, so don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Quiet it down, and then the same thing happens over and over
Right.
again.
Right. And then that's why the same thing happens over and over again. Because the people who they're accusing of the violation, once you let them off once, right? Which is why we say, forget about taking them to some tribunal that we don't know whether that tribunal is compromised or not. How about you just stop giving them your patronage? How about you do flyers and let everybody know,
Don't go there.
don't go to that store right there, because those guys violate people's rights. But you know, before we do that, we have to make sure that we're doing the job that Noble Drew Ali told us to do, which is uplift all our people. So that when they get the flyer, they at least have the concept of nationality. Know, okay, well, that's why we can't support their. Otherwise, they don't care, because they don't got nothing to lose. They're not putting out no nationality card, get taxes off, or whatever. So what do they care if, you know, some store out here violates international protocol?
Pearls to swine.
Right? What do they care? They're not losing anything. They're willing to pay the tax. Right?
But I think you touched on the most important thing, which is basically bringing people up to that awareness, because every day these so-called unawakened people walk through the same stuff that we're walking through, but without those type of glasses on to see what's really going on. They think everything's all right.
Yep. They need their they live shades. Right? Right, so and also too with regard to you know, the violations, you know, the constitutional violations, treaty violations, you know, we talk about UN declaration violations, even the little codes of the municipality or whatever like that, state or whatever, they're violating those stuff. But they violate because they gotten so comfortable with not getting challenged at all, with always dealing with Negro black colors, so that even if they do challenge them, you know, it's not, you know, big deal. The Negro challenge them. You know, they have their so-called lawyers and, you know, make people go broke.
They didn't have permanent character. They had permanent by itself and character by itself. So I don't know if you wanna-
Yeah, you can put those out there. Yeah, we'll see what those say.
So Blackstone's for the dictionary: permanent, fixed, continuing, lasting, stable, enduring, abiding, not subject to change. Generally opposed in law to temporary, but not always meaning perpetual. And then character. So the person that wanted a definition can just put the two together.
Yeah.
Character, class or division to which claim belongs.
It's the same thing.
So if you put those two together, permanent character would be one who doesn't change in their class.
It's just $25.
Right.
Or what class they
Oh,
belong to.
yo, could you look up Omar?
Yeah.
Could you look up Nebu's email? You have that on On your computer or something?
On my
Yeah.
what?
That's it.
Nebu's email.
No, I don't.
You don't have it?
Oh.
His
You
email
should have it
address.
on
Oh,
your,
no, it's in the. It's in.
You want me to go? Okay.
Yeah. It should be on the floor.
Oh, that's where you store those things.
I got so many of them. Christopher Allen Jackson Bay made this comment, adding, "Ish to more makes it an adjective, and it doesn't get recognized in court. Copyright infringements by saying the word America, a word your ancestors did not come up with, thus did not hold the title and copyrights to. Thus, when using it creates an issue of res, and thus gives you no remedy because you infringed on someone else's copyright." Now, got something?
Sorry, I was just gonna say something like, you know, it's so sad when you hear things like that, because ultimately the prophet came, and whatever he brought us is time tested and true. So the fact that, you know, we're bringing in arguments like this, you know, we can't use Moorish, or, you know, it doesn't get accepted in the de facto court, it's, you know, these people are wasting time. Like, we're wasting time dealing with something that the prophet already put in place for us.
Someone's saying that they're wiser than the prophet.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You know, trying to downplay the prophet, and every time I hear it, it's like, you know, a reason in mind, you just tell a lot of these people are lost, because it's like, whatever the prophet did for us, he did it knowing that it would work and it stand the test of time.
Right.
You know, it's just the Doubting Thomases, you know, start passing out that Doubting Thomas type of virus out there, and then everyone's like wavering left and right, you know, because the prophet said we're Moorish American, period. There's
Right.
no debating that. That's who we are, you know. You know, so it's just, when you hear stuff like that over and over again, it's just like a lot of people are missing the message. Stay true to the prophet's message. Like what he brought us, stay true to it. Don't deviate from the plan. It's not broken, don't fix it, you know.
Right.
I mean, like, in regards to what the prophet said, I always say, okay, well, if you don't think it's right, go try it out. You know what I mean? That's the only way you're gonna find out if it works or not. I always use myself as an example. Go to the border. I was just down there 2 weeks ago, and when I got to the counter, going into the American jurisdiction, all he did was look at the name, look at the computer, looked at the name again, and said, "Okay, good, have a good trip." Didn't ask me any questions. Where you going? What you going for? Blah blah blah. Coming back now, same thing. She looked at the What's your religion, by the way? All I said was I'm Moorish American. She says, okay, have a great day. So it's not a matter of and I always say, if it's right or wrong. Okay, you heard it, go try it. See what happens. You know what I mean? So if the prophet brought this information 100 years ago, and we are still standing today, go back to what you were doing before. Because what you were doing before didn't work anyway, so what?
You're right. Exactly.
I mean, what? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Well,
Just try it.
But I want to say, I don't
Yeah.
know if I think I see your line or perspective of people who are actively on this.
Yes.
We have all run into what we might term to be this colonization process
Mhm.
going on, which can be construed as being not being successful, right? We've all
Yeah.
gone to places and,
Yeah.
oh, we ain't giving you taxes off, you gotta do this kind of
Yeah.
stuff, right? So to me, I don't always take the fact that things aren't going to work right off the bat
Yeah,
as
of
being an
course.
indication that this isn't
It's not working. Yeah.
Yeah.
what it is.
You gotta
What
go
I
through
would,
it.
what I would say is that, But I think, in my mind, what is more important is that you understand the concepts behind what this really represents to you and to the world that you interact with. If you're a person who's balling, who doesn't have, you know what I mean, is fine paying all the taxes and doing whatever, you're probably gonna have someone who's less likely or willing to want to take this on.
Yeah.
Right? But for the 95, 96% of us, in terms of this in connection with the colonizer.
Yeah.
Right?
So that statement came from an individual, part of a group called a Maxim Moor Empire. Now, we want people to know that this word, a Maxim, is ancient, right? This word Moor is ancient. This word empire might not be ancient, but it's been around for a long time. But all these words together isn't ancient. This is a modern group of individuals.
So what was it that they had said again?
About Moorish,
Adding Moorish
adding
makes it an adjective.
adding ish to more makes it an adjective.
And then using American makes us it's copyright infringement because the word American doesn't belong to our ancient foremothers and forefathers. So using that as copyright.
This is what they just said?
Yeah. These are Moors that wear fezzes and stuff like that, is what they said.
Makes no
Right?
sense.
Now, when you go check them, they don't say that this is their flag. They got their own flag that they made up.
Interesting.
Right? They don't look at Noble Drew Ali as the prophet. They have an individual who's the head of this that they call emperor. That's who they look to for their guidance, all that stuff. And American is copper toned native.
Indigenous to the land, indigenous
Right.
to the Americas, right?
Indigenous to the Americas.
Which
Right?
does- Right. But
Like they're part of something called a Maxim Moor Empire.
right,
Okay, what's their nationality?
right.
I don't know. We're just putting it out there. What do they call themselves? If they call themselves a Maxim Moors, that's not our nationality. Right? That's something that they made up. Right? Now, mind you, they so-called have a quote-unquote mint where they make silver. They say that they're working on having a hospital, right? But in order to be part of this, you have to give them silver. But they make it though,
But that's where the mint comes from,
right? You have to give them silver to be part of this.
And that's how the mint works.
Yeah, and then you have to show allegiance to their emperor. Like on the level where you can't call him something other than emperor. Like you have to call him emperor. Like you know how people say Grand Sheik Kudro? And then sometimes they say Cujo, sometimes they say Iron Sheik, they don't know none of that.
It's like
You have to call me Grand Sheik only. You can't
like-
call me any other stuff.
You're like in some of those martial arts schools. My name is Sensei.
Right, right.
And only Sensei.
Only Sensei.
Even though his name's Frank, right?
Right.
Wow.
So
Like that.
when we say when Noble Drew Ali told us that we're Moorish American, he was very clear. He was very clear that we're descendants of Moroccans. So if we're saying that we're Moorish American, what we're really saying is that we're Moroccan. Is Moroccan adjective?
Oh, sir.
So anybody bringing this argument that we're not Moorish American because, and then they do this,
Movefish?
huh?
Moorish.
Moorish. Oh yeah, that's the R, that's the hyphen.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
The hyphen.
Yeah, right. So when they say more hyphen ish,
Well, that's even more of a game that they're playing, right?
they're going far with their divisiveness to try to get people to not be down with what was
Because really
laid
what
down.
that is, it's defining that you are of Moorish heritage in America.
Right.
That's what that really is. But you're really an American.
Because really,
You're a Moor.
You're a Moor.
But you're ish.
But if you
because-
say that you're American, you're still saying that you're a Moor.
That's right.
That's the region you belong, like, that's your home base. That's your...
This is the geographical location
Right.
where we're at. But if you talk to Chinese, they don't say that they're Chinese Asian.
You know what that just clicked to me is that, for using that example, if you're in China, no one else is in China saying that they're Chinese.
Exactly.
Other than the Chinese.
Than the Chinese. So
they
there's
don't-
no need to.
There's no need to make that
That
discretion. That they don't need to say, "Oh, hold on, I'm Chinese-ish, Chinese," because no one else is in China claiming to be Chinese. But now we're in America, and there's people who aren't American claiming to be American. So you needed to put that distinction, especially in the people's minds, that hold on, separate yourselves from those other people who are claiming to be American.
That might not be American.
Exactly. So if all these people do, if they just take the time and think and use their brain, they can understand, okay, well, if you say there's no people in China, don't say they're Chinese-ish, well, is there anyone in China claiming to be Chinese? Was there anybody in India claiming to be Indian who aren't Indian? No, there isn't.
There isn't.
Well, that's why he made that distinction to say we're Moorish American, because there's people in America claiming to be American who aren't even American.
Shut them down.
That's it.
They were no more. Shut them down. That's how you shut them down.
What's up?
Right? Playing games with people's birthright.
Right before you continue, but they'll challenge the Moorish American, but they're not going to challenge the European who's saying he's American, knowing that he's not American. They're not going to challenge them though.
Right? They're going to challenge their brothers who are, and their brothers and their sisters who are living up to the standards and the teachings of the noblest individual that came out of the Americas. But they're going to have me show allegiance to some guy belly out to here or whatever, that guy's my emperor. Right? How does one save their soul? Why should the Bible be questioned of its credibility? Please explain why we believe that slavery never happened. Are Moors Moabites? How can we be Moabite and an Israelite? What are all the benefits of having a nationality card and what are the disadvantages? Please explain our connection with the United Nations. In regard to right to travel, does that include air travel? And if so, how do you go forward with it? So, we'll go backwards. In regard to right to travel, does that include air travel? And if so, how do you go about it? So we'll use the example Brother Abdullah L. Talib Mosey Bey, Master Etymologist. And
Well, I mean, this is good.
Seton Rabi.
Should we talk about it?
No, I will, yeah, when we touch this. Abdullah El Talib Mosey Bey and Seton Rabi are two Moors who we know for a fact use their nationality to get on a plane to travel from state to state. Right? They had nationality card. Two, they had right to travel.
Yeah, because we haven't done that. Yeah, get it over.
And three, they had
Wow.
mail with address / mailing location that match their identification. And if you go to YouTube on the Canaanland Moors page, there's a video called Abdullah Bey and Taj Tariq Bey Revealing, where Abdullah El Talib Mosey Bey talks about him getting on the plane using his nationality card. And like we're saying, like we always say, don't go buy your ticket in your free national name and then go there with your nationality card and put it down. And Cujo said in the class that you better know what you're doing. Don't go, behind the wheel with nationality card and get pulled over and show your nationality card. Well, I saw a video where the guy said that you right to travel and all that stuff. You better know what the hell you're doing. Right? Because, like we say, we're 100 years behind where we're supposed to be. And these individuals who are in possession of our birthright know that we're 100 years behind where we're supposed to be. They know that majority of people who stand up for their birthrights are actually trying to get out of some BS that they got themselves into that they don't want to deal with. They think that this is just some, you can get out of stuff just because you say, I have a nationality. Right? This doesn't work like that. It's never going to work like that. And people have to stop assuming that this works like that. This does not work like that. You better know what you're talking about. You better know, not even have limited knowledge. You better have full knowledge of what you're about to engage in as far as exercising certain things. If you're going to talk right to travel, then you better know what license versus tags, or plates versus tags, license versus nationality card, and anything else that goes with it. That if you go to the website, rvbaypublications.com, and you put in your studying, you will be clear as to what certain things are about, because you start researching one of those tabs, and the tab should have you there for a year because of how much information is on it. So don't say that it hasn't been done. It's been done. Moors got on planes with nationality cards. It's not something that's far-fetched. It's something that's been done. Right? Moors have got pulled over and gave a nationality card, and highwaymen said, "Oh, sorry, have a nice day." It's happened. I won't say it's not something that doesn't happen, or it should be happening more, or trying to justify how come it doesn't happen more often. Point is that it's happened. Moors have gone to court, gotten their stuff dismissed. It's happened. Right? If you want to know how, why, whatever, then get in touch with those Moors. If you can't get in touch with those Moors, that means you're not ready, because when the student is ready, the master will appear. And if the master has not appeared, clearly you're not ready. Only when you're ready is the master going to appear. Only when you're ready. A majority of people aren't ready. Right? Please explain our connection to the United Nations. The United Nations, how we're connected to the United Nations is that they're backing Noble Drew Ali's program that you have a nationality. And they put it in their documentation that all the nations of the world that are contracted with the United Nations agree with. That it's a right. You have a right to a nationality. Who brought that concept? Noble Drew Ali brought that concept in 1913. Prior to that, it wasn't even nothing that they didn't even care about. Even after that, they didn't care about it until certain nations started getting violated by people who, were abusing powers. Then they formed their little version of the League of Nations called United Nations in order to try to carry on the posterity of the League of Nations. But even the United Nations got bought out. Just go ask, some of these other countries out here that when they see blue helmets, they're running.
Baby blue helmets.
Right, baby blue helmets. Right? They're not willingly letting them come in the country and stuff like that.
You're not taking the aid.
Right? They don't want the aid. They're refusing the aid because they know what's up. Right? What are the benefits of having a nationality card, and what are the disadvantages? There are no benefits of having a nationality card. The benefit is having the knowledge. And there's no disadvantages.
At all.
Ask Chinese guy, what's the disadvantage of being Chinese? And they'll probably put you on a wall somewhere. Right? Just ask them. Just be stupid enough to ask somebody with a nationality, what's the benefit of having a nationality? And see what they do to you.
Oh.
Right?
Function and shit. You have to go online.
Are Moors Moabites? How can we be Moabite and Israelite?
Oh, there we go.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
That's like saying, when people, those interracial marriages, half this and half that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the same questions asking that. How could we be,
Yeah. It's such a simple.
right?
So-
You are, you are what your mother is, right?
So, how can we be Moabite and Israelite? Because we're Canaanite. And it's the same people. Dark-skinned people. Right? Israelites got everything from the Canaanites that they got. Noble Drew Ali told the Moors that we're descendants of the ancient Canaanites, but we're Moroccans, and that Moabite was our ancient name. And any other you want to add on to that? They're part of the same family. Because there's no separation like we have in our mind separation. Just like we look at the world today as separate because water. Well, let's take all the water away and see how separate stuff is. If we remove all the water from the planet, we have one rock.
Third rock.
So everybody that's playing this thing about, can we be this, can we be that? We're this over here, those guys are that over there. They're practicing the segregation game, and you need to get the hell away from them people. Because it's not about separation. Right? Drew Ali even told us that it's about the uniting of Asia. So if it's about the uniting of all these people, then clearly we're all one family.
It's funny when you say that, because that alludes to the fact that everything was one.
Yeah.
If you really
on every level.
Right.
From the most highest level, universal, to the most lowest level on the earth plane. Everything is one.
Because why would we say that uniting? In order for us to unite something that's broken, it must have been together at one point.
Had to be together at one point.
Right.
If we're going to unite something, if we're going to be in unity, right, it had to have been that first, from the start. Separated, and now we're bringing it back together. Right?
Do you think that's for sure? Like, what? Could not unity just be bringing things together that had never been together before?
No, it had to have been together at one point.
How would it be?
You're talking about when you're talking about that.
No,
That's
how would
But
it
that's
mesh?
a good question, though. I mean, we have to get the definition of unity in a sense of what unity is. What are you united? Right?
Because remember, one of the things we were hearing about too, you can have Christian Moors, you can have Catholic Moors,
Yeah.
you can have any denomination of
They're
Moors.
all Moors.
There are more.
Yeah. Just separated by their delusions
Yes.
of,
Or they're
cultural stuff, religion stuff, economic, whatever. But really, it's all one.
They're just more.
It's just one thing, right? And again, it's the individuals that know better that create these divisions that don't need to be created. Doesn't even, what I mean? That's why, when we had the summit with the Hebrews, we said the first thing, we don't care about no religion around here.
They didn't even hear it.
We don't care about religion. Religion is irrelevant right now. We're talking about unifying our quote-unquote nations to a super nation again. Because clearly, that's why we're weak. Right? Because everybody wants to be the chain as a link. How are you a chain if you're a link? Well, you put all the links together. Right? You got unity there?
Unity? Unity, noun. From units. From unis, one. Union. The property of being one. Oneness. Concord. Agreement. Oneness of sentiment. Affection. And the like. The principle by which a uniform tenure of story and propriety of representation are preserved in literal compositions. Math. Any definite quantity taken as one, or for which one is made to stand in calculation. Formerly deemed essential to classical drama. Demand that there should be no shifting of the scene from place to place. That the whole series or event should be such as might occur within the space of a single day, and that nothing should be admitted irrelevant to the development of a single plot.
Going back to the same theme of one. Please explain why we believe that slavery never happened.
Didn't say that.
Nobody, no one that's more says that slavery didn't happen. Slavery did not happen. The part that they conveniently leave out all the time when they bring this rhetoric. Slavery did not happen the way that they put it. That's what Moors believe. We know that there were people that were enslaved because as Moors, we were the slave masters. So how's the slave master going to say slavery didn't happen when we're the master? We know that slavery happened. But we know that slavery did not happen the way that it's told. Why should the Bible be questioned of its credibility?
Yeah, I think the Hebrew that said that.
It's probably a Hebrew that
I
said
think it's a Hebrew that said that.
You're bothering us today.
Yeah.
It's probably a Hebrew.
Yeah, 100%.
You know how they do. Why should the Bible be questioned? Because it has so much sources. There's so much. If Thomas Jefferson had 20 Bibles, you should be questioning something. If he had 20 Bibles, you should be questioning something. If not every Bible came from this guy King James, you should be questioning something. How does one save their soul? Yeah, I know.
It's the same guy that does all his questions.
Oh, yeah?
How does one save their soul? You save your soul by, first of all, recognizing that you have one, because you can't save what you don't have. Right? First of all, recognizing that you have one. Second of all, recognizing that Noble Drew Ali taught us how we save our soul. And how you save your soul is learning to love instead of hate. Once you stop playing like, the sister is, she's evil and all that stuff, and, since we know that this is coming from Hebrews, right, that like to put down the matriarch, like to put down other people, called certain people, those guys are Edomites, we don't need them on the planet and stuff like that. Clearly you're soulless.
100%.
Clearly you're soulless.
What would you have us do with them?
What are we going to do with them? Especially in 2016. What are you going to do with all these Europeans around here? You really going to round them all up and put them in some cave? Good try. Good try. That's not happening.
Not at all.
Right?
I think the other part to the saving of the soul, saving of the soul is that also sort of looking into, because what it says in, I think it says it in the Quran and in the Red Book, that basically trying to adhere to principles of purity, which I think encompass sort of all of the other principles, love, truth, and all those things, plus many more, that I think once one, because there's also a passage in the Quran that talks about the soul.
Right.
And about what the soul is inimitable, and it is wild, and it's outrageous, and one of the things that you have to do are just adhere to the principles, and everything else will follow in, right?
Right.
We should maybe even get that passage, right? Maybe? Read it out.
Also to add on the balancing, the balancing of higher and lower self, like the Prophet taught us, knowing our higher and lower self, and bringing that in harmony, and picking the correct stance as far as how we stand on higher and lower self.
Right. And then that's chapter 3.
I was going to say, I think a simple answer would be just read the Quran.
Yeah.
Chapter 7.
Yeah.
A lot of the questions that are being asked is answered in the Quran if you read it.
But you know, that's not the Bible, so you know,
Rather than
I don't
asking,
want nothing to do with that.
rather than asking an individual, just read the literature.
You ready for it?
I was actually gonna say we'll send them to go read it. Just outline what chapter it is and what page and all
Chapter,
that.
it's the Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Science Temple of Science, divinely prepared by the Prophet Noble Jawli, is chapter 38, Holy Instructions from the Prophet, the Soul of Man.
All right,
It's right there.
there it is. So we're gonna go get yourself Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple or Moorish Holy Temple of Science, and
let us give them a taste of one of them. Here it is, section 2. That thou hast a soul is of all knowledge the most certain of all truths, the most plain unto thee. Be meek, be grateful for it, seek not to know it perfectly, it is unscrutable.
might as well read one more. Got the tingles,
I gotta go.
Just by getting out of question, is there any more?
Watch this one. So the next one is, and let's leave it here for this one, possibly one more to make it to 3, but that's it.
Yeah, well, we might as well just do it, you know, get the
Just
three.
3, okay. Thinking, understanding, reasoning, willing, call not these the soul. They are its actions, but they are not its essence. Okay, and the last one, I think I'm going to go back to number 1. So that was number 2 and number 3 because, as I said, I thought I was just going to give you a taste of it. But number 1 goes, the blessing, O man, of thy external part is health, vigor, and proportion. The greatest of these is health. So that is what the body should be looking for to attain to its highest level, right? Health. What health is to the body, even that is honesty to the soul. That's number 1. That thou hast a soul is of all knowledge the most certain of all truths. So then connecting it to honesty. The most plain unto thee, be meek, be grateful for it, seek not to know it perfectly, it is inscrutable. Then the last one, thinking, understanding, willing, call not these the soul, they are its actions, but they are not its essence. So that is just a taste of what it is, but what we can see is from at least the first sort of stanza,
yeah.
what health is of the body, even that is honesty to the soul. So I guess that would be a principle that would definitely be something to be searched for if one was looking for some easy things. The next thing, knowing that you have a soul, and then the next thing, knowing that all those physical things you do are not it.
Are not it, Islam.
And in relation with that, because they were asking about the Bible, it's find me a passage that breaks down the soul.
Yeah.
Find me a passage
Yeah.
that delves into the understanding of the soul.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And then it's, if you're stuck on between the Bible and Quran, cross-reference them
Yeah.
and see which one speaks to you.
Right.
But the problem is these people won't read the Quran,
Right.
so they'll never know. They only have one point of reference, and that's the Bible.
And ignorance of law is no excuse. Brother Batal Bey, Islam Brother Kudra, I first wanted to say thank you for all that you do for the family. I was recently engaged by the Amexa Moor Empire.
These guys are active.
Have you ever heard of them? Oh yes, we have. The flag that they fly is in the likeness of ours, but with some differences. Yes, it is. I felt really good about recently coming into the information about our history and meeting family to build with and learn from until I was engaged for 9 ounces of silver to be interviewed. 9 ounces of silver to be interviewed and trained. Although I am only elementary in my degrees of knowledge and I want to learn so much as I can, I feel discord with further consideration from connecting with them. That's probably your soul talking to you. Have you heard of these Moors with this flag that varies from ours? So, we already dealt with them. So we'll just leave that one alone. Leave that one alone.
Well, I mean, is he online now?
No, you just left it.
it.
Yeah. That one there is just extensive, so we'll leave that one. Brother Jibby, Gibraltar LB, one of our Canaanland Moors family, who maybe about a month ago got his fez and he's been just getting it. Yeah, he's getting it. So we just put this one out there. Islam on Friday I had to go downtown to pick something up. So I burnt my sage before going out and began my trip. When I got on the bus, the driver said, I have not seen a tarbush in ages. And I said, thank you, it's a fez. And he said, a what? With a smirk on his face. He knew what I meant. He began to talk about when he was young, how his granddad would put on a tarbush for special occasions. I then explained that I'm a Moor, and this is my national headdress. And without skipping a beat, he said, oh, so you're Moorish. Right? Goes back to that thing about why Noble Drew Ali said Moorish American. Because everybody in the world is going to identify with that because they have some type of reference point in their mind that when you say that, they'll know exactly what you mean.
Well, to add to that, we were watching the Longships on Friday, and in it, everything referenced to a Moor was Moorish. Moorish ships, Moorish castles, Moorish women, Moorish clothing. So if they're talking about the ish is the adjective because it's the description of what you are describing.
Exactly.
Right? Go ahead.
No, right. There's you don't need to use much mental strength to figure that out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take too much to get it. Like, it's quite simple. Because you're not gonna say more clothing. Because more as in quantity. You're gonna say Moorish clothing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite simple. I don't understand it.
That's it. So
So you're Moorish. We both had a grin on our face like, yeah, son. He gave me a daps and waited till I sat down before driving off. On my way back home, some drunkard said, nice hat. I said, thank you, but it's a fez. He looked confused when I explained that I'm Moorish. He said, oh, cool. I have friends that live on the street Moorish. I wanted to call him an idiot, but I chose just to say, yes, there are many places named after Moors. I asked him if he knew that Canada was a corporation, and he said, no, it's not, it's a country. I just left that one alone and said peace. But he kept on asking me what I meant. I asked if he knew what the etymology of black is, and he said yes. He said the etymology of black is people who come from tropical places. I said black means pale. And he said, what is pale? Like a bucket? I just dropped the I just dropped the Taj line. Conversation over. Got off the bus and started walking to Fortune Walk to get some sweet and spicy tofu. A European man in a tow truck was breaking his neck to look at me. When I made eye contact, he pointed across the street in a motion to meet me over there. He made his turn and pulled over, jumped out and said, hello brother, how are you? What is that on your head? It's a fez, I said. He replied, tarbush, in a Mediterranean accent. We both smiled, and he said he was born again Christian and that you don't need that hat to go to heaven. I said, heaven, as you know, is in me. I then went on to explain that I'm a Muslim and not Muslim and told him the differences. Anyways, after about 30 minutes, I noticed that he had a person in his truck. Out of respect for the person who just got out of their car, who just got their car towed, I said peace and travel safe. Before leaving, he asked, what book do I read? And said the Moorish Quran. I then pulled out my Quran and showed him a quick 1-2. I wish you could have seen his eyes, how they lit up. I'm not 100% sure why, but I gave him my Quran and said use it as guidance and lessons. The way the man snatched the Quran and held it made me smile. So I got to Fortune Walk, make my order and sit down, and across from me, two Hindu men. Of course, they were looking, and I can tell that they wanted to say something. So I give them a few minutes to figure it out. I say, hello, how was your meal? And boom, they start going off about the fez. Now I have been going here for a while, so the staff know me by face, and as I'm explaining this to the man about how black is an adjective and cannot identify, then out of nowhere the owner's wife cuts in and says, yes, this is true. There is no such thing as a black person. Only an American Negroes get called that. The two men looked at each other, spoke in Hindu for a sec, said, sir, how can I learn more about this? I said, rvbaypublications.com. The man handed me his phone and said, send a text to his wife of the website, please. There is a lot more that happened in detail with all these encounters, but I just wanted to give a heads up to the people that tried to say this movement is on some small scale. But trust me, this is a big, big, big movement. It's only so-called black people that are asleep and ignorant about all of this info and facts. Get out there with your fez on. Don't be shy. If you see someone looking at your fez, say hello and inform them what's up. Peace, love, and blessings to all the faithful Moors. Stay fezzed up, son.
Islam.
Islam.
I explained it to a bus driver the other day about the belly button and the samoon, because I talked to her a couple of times before on the bus. But then I told her, because she's so open now, that's why I tell her what it's about. And she said it makes sense. She said it makes sense, and they're just hiding this stuff that we need to know.
Yeah, like I said before, like when
It's a bus driver.
you hear these things, it doesn't take much brain power to understand them. The people who I think are having difficulty are fighting against their own,
Right.
fighting against themselves,
Yeah.
fighting against their own mind, because it makes sense, but they don't want it to make sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's going against everything that they've been taught or shown their entire life. So they're almost fighting with themselves, right?
She said, I don't know what tell these girls that they're not beautiful. They put on these braids and these. She said you don't even, you just use coconut oil in her hair.
In the meantime, while their hair's growing,
don't
she
use
just slap
all
on a
this
fez.
Straight.
You know what I mean?
Straight up.
And you know what I never understood as like growing up? The women would always, let's say, put their weaves in or whatnot to go outside, but any time they're going to bed, their head is wrapped up.
Yeah.
I'm talking fully wrapped
Yeah.
up. Like they know how to wrap
Turban.
their hair. Turbaned up to go to bed.
Yeah.
And as soon as morning time comes,
It's up.
it's off
Yeah.
and they're out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, how do you guys know how to wrap your head at night, but don't know how to wrap your head to go out? You know what I mean?
Straight. Any other? There was some more questions, but we'll save those for Tuesday. Any other questions, comments? We also want to put on the record, artisan jeweler, brother Nebu L. We just received our, if you notice, we just received our Great Seal silver pendants. So if you want to acquire your Great Seal silver pendant, it's the real deal, right? It is the real deal. You can email Brother Nebu, artisan Nebu, ARTISAN Nebu NEBU @gmail.com. artisannebu@gmail.com. And he also has a website where you can get other works of his. The website is nebujewelry.com. NEBUJEWELRY.com. And then you had something that you want.
A couple of things, but I wonder, Amari, if we should mention that thing just because it's sort of like we're in house with family.
The phone call?
thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go do.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
now?
Okay.
Yeah, you can stay there though if you want.
Huh?
You can stay
Alright,
there.
well, just
put it up.
basically,
Can hear you.
how do I get to it? Cause I downloaded the 2 Word apps. One second.
Oh, my computer.
Huh?
You downloaded
Set up nebujewelry.com, right?
Nebu Jewelry, yeah.
That's one.
NebuJewelry.com.
All right, well, while he's doing that, just announcements, we're having May 21st.
Yeah, so May 21st, Downsview Park, there's an Aboriginal festival, native festival, that we want to get the Moors to go to. It's good. It's one of those like all day festivals, like Afrofest or whatever. But you know, native stuff. You know, it's not the black whatever. So we're trying to go there as you know, a group of Moors. You know what I mean? Just to be at the event.
And I think if
It's
that's
at
the case,
Downsview
since
Park.
we should be looking at arrangements to the MC Moorish Culture Club. Will, I guess put that out, but we should look for a time that we should.
Yeah,
try
time
to
that we're
as
gonna
best
try
as
to meet
possible, that we
there
can
or
there
meet somewhere where
and
we
meet
all go
somewhere
there.
and move in there.
Yeah.
Probably together. Any
Yeah.
ones that are late, then they'll have to do their thing. But
Yeah.
for the most part, let's have a meeting point. And then I think there's a part 2 to
And
the
then
day,
and
which is for
part
all
2,
of us active Moors who are wanting to be involved in this.
part 2 to the day. We did the Hebrew Israelite
So-called-
Unity Summit,
so-called.
so-called Unity Summit,
Which
that
wasn't.
turned into separation or
Of
whatever,
course, yeah.
right? So that was part 1 of trying to get our people to connect with their Moorish birthrights. So we were able to acquire Oakdale Community Center, which is on Grand Ravine Drive, and we'll have a flyer and stuff like that out. And that Unity Summit is going to call to action all the so-called community groups for them to, you know, come out and ask their questions or get their questions answered as to why they won't declare a nationality. We're not even being specific to Moorish nationality. We're just saying in general, if you have right to dual citizenship, then you shouldn't only be tied to a corporation. You should have a nationality, right? So we're going to put it out there. You know, we're asking the Moors to show up, and whoever else from the so-called conscious community, we're going to send it to all the different groups, organizations, or whatever like that.
Who really
Give them
should
a
be
cordial
whatever they are
invite.
/ Moors.
Yeah,
Every one of us
Yeah.
who is copper colored should
Right.
be whatever they are / Moors.
Moors, right.
We're not asking and telling anyone that they can't
That
be.
they can't be who they are or what they are. Or,
I
yeah,
thought about this, but then I thought I was wrong. Religion is tied to a nation, but a nation isn't tied to religion.
Right.
In reality, a religion can't exist outside of a nation.
Right.
But really, it's the principle. Nationality is the parent that religion exists through,
yeah.
to a certain extent, right? In my
Right,
mind.
right. And it's just, and this is, and it's only going to be, you know, like we always say, quality over quantity. So it's only going to be for those people who are in those so-called groups that have been thinking, that have been realizing that something's wrong and want to, you know, fix what's been wrong, right?
Make
And
sure
then-
that the lawyers who are part of those groups show up.
Yeah, that too.
That is
Yeah.
the main focus.
And then Sunday, which is the 22nd, we're going to be doing our uplifting fallen humanity by assisting the brothers and sisters with Feed the Hungry, which is going on at 4:30. We're meeting up at Dundas Square on the 22nd of May for Feed the Hungry campaign. And you know, like we've done this before with them, so this is nothing new. This is just something that we got to do. If we're claiming that we're uplifting fallen humanity, then let's really give back.
And I think I've done this one 2 or 3 times.
Sunday is 4:30.
And I've done this.
Yeah. Oh, there's not gonna be class. We're just gonna do. Yeah, we're just gonna do that. Yeah.
And
We're
just to
gonna do
let
that.
people know, I've done this a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, but no matter sometimes how I felt coming into this, I've always learned or gained something positive
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
doing this particular event.
Yeah. Something.
Just
There's something about the event
even though I
that.
have my whole issues
Yeah.
with all of the states of where we're in, where somehow you're coming to feed people that don't have food in this society. So it seems messed up to me, certain other aspects. But the very nature of us getting out there and doing that has always caused me to think, wow, I want to do that again.
Yeah, yeah.
To whatever effect. Seeing the way someone is grateful, the same way that person was grateful for a Quran.
Right.
I've seen people be like that for a sandwich.
Yeah, straight.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, when you
Yeah.
think about where we're at. But also,
So,
just to preface all of this, through the Moorish Culture Club, what we're hoping to do is have that as a platform, hopefully, to be somewhat of the go-to people that would deal with the nuts and bolts of things like these things, like possibly the meeting times.
Right.
For sure, with this meeting at the Unity Summit and possibly the other event during the day, I think we're going to want a pre-meeting spot
Yeah.
to definitely meet, and especially with the Unity Summit afterwards. In light of the last so-called Unity Summit, we may be meeting to sort of have a little bit of a
Brief
brief
before.
little briefing as to how some of these summits can go.
Based on the previous one.
Based on the previous one, and understanding that we're there to give that knowledge forward, but we're not, there are certain things that we want to debate. Yeah, we're not there to have a fight or to be insulted or to have madness. It's basically about positiveness, and just by giving a briefing as to certain little keys that we can look out for, so that may be forthcoming through the Moorish Culture Club.
Yeah. And as well too,
And then barbecue in the summer sometime, right? Couple months. This is giving
get it ready.
barbecue coming up in the next couple months, probably between July and August.
second annual Canaanland barbecue.
And then we will be having a summer solstice event, which is on June 20th. So that's just to let you know that we have something coming up in about 3 weeks, and then we have something a month afterwards, and a month afterwards. So just let you know there'll be.
And as well, for next week, we're gonna have no class next week, so we could do our honor our mother and father stuff next week. So next week there's no class.
It's past Friday.
But there's gonna be something Friday.
Yeah,
So Friday.
Honor your moms.
Honor your moms next week Sunday. Do something. Buy some roses or something like that. We should be doing it every day.
Well, that's right.
But
they should have at least a day.
They should at least have a day to get honored. You know what I mean?
It's funny. Someone was talking about that. They don't have a Mother's Month.
Yeah.
They got a Black Month. They got a Black History Month. They don't have a Mother's
Mother
Month.
only gets a day.
Huh? Mother only
That's all
gets
she
a day,
gets,
right?
yeah.
Crazy, eh?
Yeah.
Black History Month. Mother only gets a day.
This and moms.
Listen, man.
Right.
You know?
So yeah.
Oh, so and then one last
And
thing.
then
Yeah, so,
We had another interesting phone
okay,
call.
I got a phone call today.
Just now.
So I have to I don't think we have done it yet, so I'm going to do it on the record.
Online.
Online. I'm going to be emailing these 2 letters out to everyone in the coming couple of days. But there's 2 letters that was written in the past 3 months, and it's in regards to the Law Society or the Law Department for the Moorish Science Temple of America. It does not exist. Now, the letter that we wrote, 2 of them I said I'm going to read. The first one states, to Camre Elbe, or Cameron Elbe, we regretfully inform you that you are hereby immediately expelled from the Moorish Science Temple of America in Canaanland for inappropriate activity which goes against the foundations of what our organization stands for. The charges are impersonating an official of the Moorish Science Temple of America, charging for services that are free through the Moorish Science Temple of America, and insubordination. A town hall meeting was held on February the 14th, 2016 at 11 a.m. and you were found guilty of all charges. Also, you were not present for these serious proceedings which culminate in acquiescence. You are not welcome to our meetings, classes, or events due to your treasonous activity which was brought to our attention in July 2015, culminating in dissolution of the Law Department in August 2015, and these same nefarious activities continue to this day. We have no other choice but to expel you and disassociate ourselves from you and those very activities to protect our members, since those activities go against the principles laid down by our prophet, Noble. Now this was signed by, I'm gonna do that after this. So this was signed by, or autographed by the mediator, who is Seton Rabe, and myself, Secretary Amari L. Bey.
And most of us were there, I think, right?
Yes.
Right, so
Okay?
we can attest to that too, right?
So that's the first letter. Now the next letter, which is affidavit of fact, notice of no contest, which was sent out to the Law Society of Upper Canada. This states, notice the principal is notice the agent is notice the principal. I, Grand Sheik Cujo Adwa L, respectfully give notice by way of special appearance pursuant to principles of jurisprudence. This notice is to inform you that we, the Moorish Science Temple of America at 2533A Eglinton Avenue West, have no connection to the Moorish law firm and or Camre El Bey, other known as Camra El Bey. As of June 30th, 2015, the Moorish law firm was dissolved by the heads of the Moorish Science Temple of America due to unlawful activity which violated...
Law firm or law department?
Well, I put law firm. It was law firm.
We never had a law firm though.
But that's,
Exactly.
that's why we're saying it. Because that's what, remember, that's what the letter
Oh, yeah.
said.
Okay, well.
Yeah. So as of June, the Moorish law firm was dissolved by the heads of the Moorish Science Temple of America due to the unlawful activity which violated our divine principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. As of February 14th, 2016, Camre El Bey, other known as Camra El Bey, has been expelled and excommunicated by the Grand Body for the Moorish Science Temple, Subordinate Temple Number 5, for insubordination, misrepresented an official of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and for charging for services under the name of Moorish Law Firm. We, the Moorish Science Temple of America, are not lawyers or attorneys, nor do we have licenses from the Bar Association to practice legalese or de facto law. Any attempt to connect the Moorish Science Temple of America to the legal actions against Camra El Bey, other known as Camre El Bey, will be considered null and void, an attempt of fraud on your part. Yours sincerely, myself, Amari El Bey, and Cujo Adwa L. Now, the reason why we are putting those two letters on the record, and as I state, we will be emailing everyone this letter, is that...
Don't worry, that was me. Just forwarding you something.
Okay. We just, we just received a phone call from a sister.
So just remember now, if you can think back to the trial that we had, when all this went down, it was back in when?
February 14th.
An incident now, and I think I talked to all of you about this, about the fact that we don't know what activity he's been up to. What we've heard is only what we've heard.
Yeah.
There could be another 1,000 people out there
Right.
who have these issues who
Yeah.
either haven't complained, haven't followed through, whatever, but here's an indication, yet again, but when you check out the nuance behind this, you'll see an even added layer to what he's doing.
So basically, sister just called and she stated that her friend was charged $1,000 just recently. So, well, hey, say it loud, man. Don't worry about it. It's just,
He looked at me.
and she was stating and asking, what does she do next?
Well, because she's obviously gotten no service.
She has
for-
no service for, well, there's no
Whatever,
service to
whatever.
get anyway. So, these letters are just evidence, and we're putting it on the record. If you are still associating with Camera El Bey, or Camera, or the Moorish Law Department,
Law firm.
Or law firm.
whoever, we suggest, well, more or less my opinion, do go to the de facto authorities, and you have these two letters as proof as such.
And what you would be going to the de factos for are
Yes.
to follow through with the fact that he's committing fraud,
Committed fraud.
which there's no statute of limitations
Yeah.
on, which unfortunately,
Mhm.
due to the situations the nation's been in, because of the 100 years of whatever,
Yeah.
you know, because he'd be in our jail right now, so to speak,
Yeah.
right? If that
So-
was the case.
You do go to them, and as I said, these letters will be proof, and what I will also send, I'm also gonna send a YouTube clip where we did the tribunal, so that way they could see that it had gone down with the situation. So yeah, you,
Oh, no, but what would the next part to that was,
mm.
when she phoned him, did he not say to phone here?
No. She has not been able to get a hold of him for the past couple of weeks now.
So then who said to phone here?
They got the number from online, from the Moorish Science Temple of America online.
But I thought
So
you
that's-
said, you'd said that he was telling them to phone here for further.
No, he did not give them the phone number. He just said he is part of the Moorish Science Temple of
Oh,
America.
he told them that.
Told him he's part of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So that's where they got the name
Moorish Science Temple.
Moorish Science Temple, and then they got
find
that's
Oh, so
find
there's
the
no-
number
They're finding more.
and find the number, and that's what she called here today.
Yeah.
So this is like a fraud that's happened that she's now trying to figure.
She's trying to
he's
connect
like,
the dots.
He's like a
Yeah.
con man, and she's now
Yeah.
trying to track.
So
him.
her question to me was, who is gonna give me my money back?
Whoever you gave the money to in the first place.
Whoever took your money.
Yeah.
So
Whoever
basically,
took your money.
so yeah, so we're putting it on the record as I'm gonna be sending it out in an email. I guess we should have done it before, but we're doing it
Drastic
now.
times call for drastic measures.
Yes.
Man, what a dude, eh?
Yeah.
Genuine.
$1,000, yo, for some papers for free.
And what you realize is, unfortunately, what has happened here, and I think this is where, I mean, there's never any guarantees with how you can sort of, read a person. But I think the prophet even makes mention of that. Did you sign yourself out?
No, just exit.
That, please. That, unfortunately, I think we've got a Moor here, and I sort of use the term sparingly, a Moor.
Quite sparingly.
Huh?
Say quite sparingly.
But who's engaged in really
Whatever.
being involved in fraud.
Yeah.
And having found a vessel that seems to be giving him a return. But which on another side is really not fair to the work we've been trying to do.
No, but remember,
Well, and I agree with all that.
just
I'm
like-
just saying that on principle,
Yeah.
he could be saying he works for Ford Motor Company. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, why don't you say contact Ford? You know what I mean? You're saying contact us, as if somehow we have some connection with him anymore.
Yeah.
We did, we don't, whatever. But I'm just saying that as just a sort of side to all of this is not what we're about.
But at the same time, in regard to her, the same research she did after the fact, she has to be held accountable too, because you could have did that before you gave him any money.
straight.
You could have said, hold on, let me look into this guy. He says,
Yeah.
he said, okay, let's look up the Moorish Science Temple of America. Let's call around.
Calling-
let's go
yeah,
there.
you're calling now.
Let's see what's
Like,
up.
why you
Now you're
call?
calling now
Yeah.
after you've given them money, which
Yeah.
means you weren't even thinking like that.
Yeah.
When
You're
you
trying
were-
to get some type of benefit.
Yeah, you were paying for something.
Yeah.
You weren't in it for what. You weren't trying to get your nationality in the sense of
Learning, yeah.
in the sense of learning. You wanted to pay so that you could use it to get some
Do
type
whatever.
of gain.
Yeah.
So she had to hold herself accountable. And that question she's asking, she should be asking
The
herself.
punishment fits the act.
Straight up.
And just to put it out there again, just like Bambada, don't try to tie people's corrupt stuff to hip hop and people corrupt stuff to Moorish Science Temple and all that stuff like that. Hold those people that's doing corrupt stuff accountable to themselves for the corruption that they do. You know what I mean? Just like when we say, Obama is Illuminati, the president of the United States of America and all that stuff. Don't even go there. You know what I mean? Tie him to his corrupt stuff that he's doing in his own time. Don't try to put that on the Great Seal. Make sure you put that on the Eagle. You know?
It's up there. I think I spelled you really wrong. 2 L's, there's only 1 L.
Yeah, it's only one L on it. Pretty sure. Yeah. So yeah. Anything else to add on or?
That's
Straight.
I said, we just have to make sure it's, get out there and.
Well, and I just wanted to make sure that we knew it in here, so
Yeah,
we understand
yeah,
exactly
right.
that this nonsense is
Still
still putting
going
itself
on.
out, and I think that for any of us who have sort of, you know, we're always on the fence wanting the best for someone.
Yeah.
And thinking, you know, that I think is a Moorish principle too,
Yeah.
hopefully give everyone
Give
the
everybody a
benefit of the
chance,
doubt.
yeah.
But it's in my mind, it's just another nail in this already nailed up coffin.
Yeah.
He's out there doing crap, not doing whatever, still using our name, you know, so.
And I mean, you know, at this point, you know, most we can do is, you know, write his name on a black candle and hope stuff goes away.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
He truly feels he's untouchable.
what we gonna do? Don't worry. Allah got fingers. Allah got fingers for them. So yeah, so we'll just close out. Islam to all the Moors online, and thank you for the questions. And we'll be reconvening online on Tuesday, same YouTube channel, 7 p.m. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Noble Juali.
Noble Juali.
Islam.
Islam.
Board to there. I have your card.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I say we reconvene for 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks, Saturday. But I was just saying, I think I was talking to,